I gave an AI a single sentence describing a trip. No flight numbers, no hotel names, and it independently searched 2 separate services, compared real options, and handed back a complete plan without me writing a single line of logic telling it how to do that. That's the actual difference between a chatbot and an agent, and almost nobody explains that distinction clearly before jumping straight into code. It works because of a specific reasoning pattern running underneath the surface. The model reasons about what to do, takes an action by calling a tool, observes what came back, and loops through that cycle again until the task is genuinely finished, not just until it's produced a plausible-sounding paragraph. I only share methods I test myself, so every architecture detail and every cost figure in this video came from actually building and running this myself. Quick ask before we start: like this video and subscribe. It genuinely helps. Let's start with the definition that actually matters here, because getting this wrong is where most people waste real time and money later. A chatbot generates a response, a single output based on your input. Nothing more happens after that. An agent executes a plan. It reasons about a goal, decides which tools it needs, calls them, evaluates what comes back, and keeps going autonomously until the actual objective is met, potentially across many separate steps you never explicitly scripted. That reasoning pattern has a name. It's called the reason-act loop, and it's the core mechanism behind every genuinely agentic system you'll build going forward. Now let's talk about the actual toolkit, because Anthropic built a dedicated library specifically for this, and understanding its basic shape saves you from reinventing plumbing that already exists. The Claude Agent SDK is the official library for building these autonomous, tool-using systems in either Python or TypeScript, and it exposes the exact same agent loop and built-in tool handling that powers Claude's own coding product, meaning your agent can read files, run commands, and search the web without you manually implementing that execution logic yourself. Every agent you build starts with the same 3 core pieces: a system prompt defining its role and behavior, a defined set of tools it's allowed to use, and a message loop that keeps the reasoning cycle running until the task completes. Let's walk through a real concrete example so this isn't abstract. I built a simple travel assistant agent with 2 tools available to it, one for searching flights and one for searching hotels. Then gave it one plain instruction: I have a conference in a specific city on a specific date. I'm currently in a nearby country and I can spend 5 days there. Help me plan it. The agent reasoned through that request on its own, called the flight search tool, evaluated the results, called the hotel search tool for the right dates based on what it had just found, and combined both into one coherent recommendation, all from that single starting instruction. That's the actual unlock here. I never wrote the logic connecting flight timing to hotel dates. The agent inferred that connection itself as part of its own reasoning loop. Now, let's cover how you actually give an agent new capabilities, because there are a few different ways to extend what it can do. You can declare a custom tool manually, essentially describing a function and its expected inputs so the model knows exactly when and how to call it. You can also connect external capabilities through something called an MCP server, a standardized way of exposing a tool or a data source to any compatible agent without hard-coding a custom integration for each one. And there's a third option worth knowing. Claude's skills, reusable instruction sets stored as simple files, can also be loaded directly as tools inside this same SDK, so any skill you've already built elsewhere isn't wasted. It plugs into your agent the same way.
There's also a technical distinction worth understanding before you build anything serious. A simple one-off query function creates a fresh session each time and skips advanced features like hooks and custom tools entirely, while a persistent client connection maintains an actual session you can pause and resume, which matters enormously for any agent handling a long-running task that might span multiple separate interactions. Now, here's the mistake that costs people real time and real money, and it's the one this entire video is actually built around. People get excited about agentic AI and then reach for a full autonomous agent loop for tasks that were never genuinely open-ended in the first place, a rigid, predictable process with clearly defined steps that never actually change. An agent is genuinely the right tool when the steps required to solve a problem are unpredictable and depend on what happens at each stage. But if you can already write out the exact sequence of steps yourself in advance, a simple, direct script accomplishes the same result faster, more reliably, and at a fraction of the cost, because you're not paying for a multi-step reasoning loop to rediscover a sequence you already knew. Before building an agent for anything, ask yourself honestly whether the path to the outcome is actually unpredictable, or whether you're just excited about the word agent and overcomplicating something that was always a straightforward linear task. That single question, up front before writing any code, is what separates people building genuinely useful autonomous systems from people burning through API credits running an expensive reasoning loop around a problem that never needed one. Now let's cover cost, because this is where a recent, genuinely important change affects anyone building on a Claude subscription plan rather than a separate API account. As of a recent billing update, Claude subscription plans now include a specific separate monthly credit allocation just for agent SDK usage, distinct from your regular interactive usage, meaning your existing plan doesn't grant unlimited agent runs the way casual chat usage might feel like it does. If you're building and testing agents regularly, keep an eye on that separate usage meter specifically, since it's easy to assume your subscription covers everything the same way, right up until you get a notification that your dedicated agent credit ran out mid-project. Here's the golden tip that actually keeps your agent costs predictable instead of surprising you later. Mix model tiers deliberately across your agent's subtasks. Use a stronger, more expensive model specifically for the genuine reasoning and planning steps, and route simpler, more mechanical subtasks, basic lookups, formatting, straightforward tool calls, to a smaller, cheaper model instead of running everything through your most expensive option by default. Combine that with prompt caching, which avoids repeatedly paying full price to reprocess context that hasn't changed between steps, and set an explicit spending cap per session from the very beginning, not as an afterthought once a bill surprises you. That combination, model tiers per task plus caching plus a hard spending limit, is what turns a genuinely powerful capability into something you can actually run in production without anxiety about where the bill lands at the end of the month. I test new AI deals every week. If a new free method comes out, you'll see it here first. One last practical note before you go build one yourself. Start intentionally small. Build the simplest possible working version with one or two tools before adding complexity, since a working simple agent teaches you far more about where real problems show up than a complicated one you can't fully reason about yet. This entire space also moves fast. Specific pricing, credit allocations, and available models shift regularly, so verify current numbers directly against official documentation before finalizing any cost-sensitive project. In the next video, I'm taking this exact travel planning agent and adding a genuinely unpredictable complication mid-task, a canceled flight it has to react to and re-plan around live, to see whether the reasoning loop actually holds up under a real curveball instead of a clean, predictable demo. Subscribing is the only way you'll see whether it handles that before you try building it yourself.